If you spend enough time scrolling online, you will inevitably stumble across a video claiming someone has finally done it. Someone has finally found the lost city of Atlantis. The locations are always highly specific. A massive viral theory points to the Eye of the Sahara, a massive ringed geologic formation in Mauritania. Another points to these perfectly straight, block-like underwater rocks in the Caribbean, insisting they are the paved roads of the Sunken Empire. There is even a persistent fringe theory that the city is actually buried deep beneath the ice of Antarctica. But after decades of advanced ocean mapping and geological surveying, geologists and historians all agree on one hard truth. The magical, hyper-advanced city of Atlantis never existed. With zero physical proof to go on, the mystery shifts from archaeology to psychology. We are chasing the ghost of a philosophical prank that one Greek philosopher set in motion over 2,000 years ago. This is Plato. In 360 BCE, he wrote two philosophical dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. He was a philosopher, not a historian, and his writings about Atlantis were designed as a thought experiment, not a peer-reviewed historical record. The actual plot of his story is completely different from the utopian paradise we imagine today. In Plato's text, Atlantis was a greedy, arrogant naval empire that had completely lost its moral compass. He wrote the Atlanteans as the villains, specifically to make his own city, Athens, look heroic. In the story, the disciplined, virtuous Athenians are the ones who managed to fight off the greedy Atlantean war machine. To cap off the lesson, the fictional gods punish the Atlanteans for their arrogance. In a single day and night of violent earthquakes and floods, the empire is wiped from the map. For centuries, society correctly understood this text for exactly what it was. It was the ancient Greek equivalent of a sci-fi cautionary tale. To understand how we lost the plot, we have to fast forward to the late 1800s. This was a weird cultural crossroads where brand new scientific fields were colliding directly with occult spiritualism. Eccentric writers like Ignatius Donnelly and William Scott Elliot started looking at Plato's fable and interpreting it as literal geographical fact. This diagram shows the complex boundaries of the Earth's tectonic plates. Emerging fields like oceanography and plate tectonics were just taking shape, and these 19th century authors co-opted the aesthetics of this hard science to legitimize their claims. They combined this scientific language with absolute absurdity. Relying on supposed psychic visions and clairvoyance, they confidently drew highly detailed, completely fake maps of an Atlantean continent right in the middle of the Atlantic. By treating a philosophical metaphor as an actual place on a map, the Victorians permanently derailed the truth and turned fan fiction into a stubborn geographic conspiracy. Today's internet sleuths are running the exact same Victorian playbook. They scour satellite imagery, find a strange shape in the dirt or water, and declare it definitive proof. Take the Eye of the Sahara. Its massive concentric rings perfectly match Plato's description of a circular city, but geologists have studied the site extensively. It is a massive volcanic dome, slowly fractured and eroded by wind over millions of years. Look at the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan. At first glance, these massive stones look exactly like carved staircases and temple walls. But local sandstone naturally fractures into perfectly straight vertical and horizontal lines under the stress of tectonic earthquakes. We don't need ancient aliens or magical empires to explain these sites. Nature is simply a deceptive architect, and human pattern recognition happily fills in the rest. The ultimate irony is that just because Atlantis is fake, it does not mean the ocean isn't actually hiding real lost civilizations. Pavlopetri, Greece, is a real, completely submerged city. Lying 13 feet underwater, this perfectly preserved 5,500-year-old Bronze Age metropolis features laid-out streets and town squares. Archaeologists have recovered artifacts here, like these everyday cooking pots and storage vessels. They prove that a thriving human community lived, farmed, and traded right here before severe earthquakes dragged their homes into the sea. Real underwater archaeology uncovers the true, fragile history of our ancestors. The actual lives of the people who came before us are far more fascinating than hunting for a magical utopia. This chart shows global coastlines at the end of the last ice age, when the Earth's climate underwent a violent, rapid shift. As ice caps melted, global sea levels rose by an astonishing 400 feet, radically redrawing the map of the world. Our early human ancestors lived through this. Over generations, they watched helplessly as the ocean permanently swallowed their homes, hunting grounds, and coastal settlements. This shared apocalyptic experience burned a deep collective trauma into human memory, generating flood myths in almost every ancient culture. By the time Plato sat down to write, he was drawing from these existing oral traditions, taking a universal human anxiety and grounding it in a specific, localized parable. Atlantis sticks because it taps into that encoded 10,000-year-old fear of the rising sea. It is the definitive version of an ancestral nightmare, a cultural survival mechanism for a species that watched its world disappear under the waves.